Greetings, dear ones. We are the High Council of Orion. Today's message is one about releasing the past and releasing the burdens, particularly of the past. And in order to do this, in this time frame, it is very important for each and every one of you to look at and evaluate the stories and the events and the experiences that come in all different shapes and sizes and all different levels of trauma and unhappiness, and evaluate them about whether or not it serves you to continue to reactivate that story and that experience in your life as you retell it to yourself, as you retell it to others, as you use it as a definition for why you are the way you are and why you have relationships or you don't have relationships, or whether you have success or not have success in your life in the moment based on those experiences. And we don't say this to minimize any of these experiences relative to your human experience, for we know that relative to the dimension in which you experience them, there has been great trauma and upset and hurt on that human level. But what we'd like you to do is take out and look at each of those events in your life and ask them at this point in your life, does it serve me to keep this story or event or trauma alive in my life as an activating source for where I see myself going in the future? Many of you are dreaming and feeling and transforming and doing a lot of work on yourself and your lives for where you see and feel and vision yourself going. And I want you to look at each one of those as if it's an event in your life that you have a choice about whether or not you carry it forward with you or not. And literally pick it up and hold it as if it's a rock that's in a backpack you're carrying along. And look at it and evaluate it and say, does this serve me to bring this forward to where I see myself going in the future? Does it serve me to keep it activated by telling the story about it, repeating the story to others so others know that you've been wounded or have had drama? Does it serve you to keep it alive even to yourself in terms of your self-talk? And for some of you, you might look at those events and say, I'm not ready to let go of it. I still want that to define me. I still need that to be a story about who I am. But for some of you, you may look at that, and when you pull it outside of you and look at it as if it's an event or an experience that happened outside of you, and you look at it and say, do I really need this for where I feel I am going? And if the answer is no, then we ask you to put that burden down. To first and foremost honor yourself at the soul level, which is very different than the human level, but honor yourself at the soul level to have had that experience. For as you dig into that experience, there are things you've learned through that, even if it's through the school of hard knocks. There are things you've learned from that that you would not have learned had you not had that experience, and you know that already. So as you can come to this place of saying, I'm in alignment with leaving this in my past, setting it back down there, honoring it, thanking it for the way your soul chose you to have that come into your life. And say, I'm done with that now. And I'm going to set that burden down. And I'm connecting to my wholeness and my perfection in my here and now, even without that burden to define who I am in my here and now. And as you begin to choose to let that burden down, you have an opportunity to move forward freer of the burden. And we would encourage you to be able to move to a place of catching yourself if you need to retell that story. Catching yourself when you think about how it defines who you are. Well, I'm this way because ... whatever that ... might be. What if you let that burden down and it's a story in your life, but it's not a defining energy anymore? There's a difference between having a story and being defined energetically by those experiences. If you trust those experiences were on a soul level exactly what you wanted, then they have brought you to this incredible place where you're at right now. Without it, you would not be who you are today. So you can retell the story from a burdensome place, or you can connect with the energies of gratitude with those things, even through the hardship, and be able to then move forward unburdened by those things. For it's the time to really live into this future vision that so many of you are holding that's so beautiful. But we tell you that some of those burdens need to be left in the old vision, not the new vision. So what can you do in your here and now to connect with the freedom of letting those stories, letting those experiences be what they were, and release them so you can redefine who you are from a more whole, healthy, happy place as you move forward into the future. For if you envision yourself in the future and what you expect of the future reality, you would probably not see those burdens hanging off of you in the same way, for you would have had the experience of healing and releasing them. And sometimes all that needs to be done to heal and release them is be in a state of gratitude for who you are because of it. Do you need to forgive perpetrators? Not necessarily, for you can move forward in healing and wholeness if you honor yourself in that process, regardless of what their experience was. And we will go into this more in future messages to you. But for right now, we really are hoping to expand and open up the energy of some of you who are being called to really let down those burdens and say, thank you, I don't need you anymore, I'm moving forward without it. And feel the lightness and feel the joy and the ease when you don't need to have those burdens anymore. For those were part of the pathway that got you to where you are, but you don't need to pick them up and put them in front of your pathway anymore. They can be a rock you passed by in the journey of this lifetime. Instead of picking it up and carrying it with you, leave it where it was, where you walked around it, walked over it, walked through it. Leave it back on the path, for your pathway in your future is clearer, with fewer impediments. Certainly not bringing the rocks that have been in your pathway from days gone by. Feel into the energy of this, even if you don't have all the answers. And just breathe and feel and connect into the energy of freedom as you allow some of those stories and defining energies to dissolve with your gratitude. Be blessed. We are the High Council of Orion.